click at will. We're having an impromptu conversation for which they brought slides. So, Tom, I want to begin with you, if I may. Before I do, what I want to do is give you a chance, just 2 minutes tops, a minute's better, to respond to what you just heard Carl say.
Yeah, basically don't disagree with what has been said. It's clear that circularity is only a small part of the solution for Europe's critical raw materials conundrum. As you all know, we are extremely dependent on the critical metals that we need to meet the Paris Climate Target Agreement. Circularity will be part of the solution, but it will only be a small part of the solution in my view. In our institute at KU Leuven, circularity is a big part of our research agenda. So in the next things I want to say, I want to point it out. I just want to focus on the physical laws of thermodynamics on the circular economy agenda, because I think there's a lot of poor understanding of the physical laws that we are subjected to. I think a lot of things are being wrongly told about the possibilities of recycling and the circular economy. So I think it's vital we debunk some myths and stop speaking in simplistic terms about circular economies. So if you allow me, I've only brought 2 slides. I don't want to give a presentation here, but I just want to first show this diagram, and this is how policymakers...
Well, now wait a sec, Tom. Just to be clear, just so we pretend it's an interview. Let's pretend I'm asking you this question. Say the circular economy can provide only part of the necessary materials, but still needs full attention to keep the topic high in the political agenda and not be replaced by a CRM policy that largely based on remining Europe. What's your take on that, and have you brought 2 slides to demonstrate?
No, I fully agree that we need circular economy next to Critical Raw Materials Act. And of course, there is a clear link because the Critical Raw Materials Act puts recycling targets firmly on the agenda. And of course, that is only part of the circular economy strategy, but it's a major part, and we don't have to be stupid about that. So what I want to say here, I don't have much time, but what I want to say here is that the circular economy figures that you see in all the textbooks, and all of you know about these figures, is like you show a circular diagram. We saw it in the previous slides of Karel. Okay, he wants to slow it and he wants to make some modifications to it, but it's still like a perpetuum mobile. And the second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy, clearly states that it's impossible to have a perpetuum mobile. So basically, in every single step of the recycling process, from collection to pre-processing to metallurgical processing, you have losses. So if you have 50% collection efficiency, 70% pre-processing efficiency, and 90% metallurgical processing efficiency, your total efficiency is around 30%. So you're losing metals left, right, and center. So the idea that you can have a perpetuum mobile and that you can keep the metals in this eternal cycle is ludicrous. It's really not based on physical law. So we need to understand we have losses at any stage. So that's the first myth I wanted to debunk. The second myth is related to, again, the fact that you can keep them into this eternal loop, because in reality, it's so much more complex, as you can see from this figure here, which I've taken from Simon Michaud of GTK from Finland. And I can speak for hours about this figure, but I just want to draw your attention to some key facts here. So first of all, the recycling stream that is available today for recycling to make new products is much smaller than what we need to make the new products, because we're in a growing market. We're in a market where we need to drastically boost the production volumes of lithium-ion batteries, wind turbines, electric buses, electric bikes, electric cars. So we need loads and loads and loads of metals to do that. Even in a post-capitalist world, that would be the case. The point is, you can't recycle what is not in the cycle yet. So the lithium-ion batteries end of life will become available around 2035. Before that, they are quantité négligeable. So they will not be able to meet the new needs for lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt, and all the other critical metals we need for the batteries. Secondly, there is also a very important dynamics in the technology that we are using. The things that we put into our systems 10 or 15 years ago are not what we need today. Exactly. So to give you one example, 15 years ago we had fluorescent lamps. These were lamps that were energy-saving lamps. And they replaced the incandescent lamps. They were a great invention at the time. They used rare earths, europium, terbium, and yttrium. We set up recycling processes for those, but by the time those recycling processes were efficient and were commercially available, we didn't need these metals anymore because the fluorescent lamps were replaced by LED lamps. So suddenly, europium, terbium, and yttrium were not needed in those quantities anymore. So you see there is a change in the dynamics of technology, which makes that this cycle that you see in all these circular economy textbooks is ludicrous. It's way more complex than that. Fourth myth I want to debunk is the economics. We know we can recycle a lot of the critical metals. We have developed numerous flow sheets to do so. For example, rare earth magnets, the end-of-life magnets in electric cars or in wind turbines. We have the capability, technically, to recycle them. The problem is today that the operational costs to do so are much larger than the price you need to pay to buy virgin rare earths from China at this moment. So you see there is a mismatch there in, yes, we want to recycle, but the cost is often too high compared to the cost to buy virgin material. So as long as you don't have policy mechanisms that stop the use of primary rare earths in your new products, then it's not going to work. And this is one example, but we have a lot of similar examples in the recycling of complex products containing critical raw materials. And the final one I want to debunk is that a lot of people who are working in the field of circular economy have this simplistic belief that by definition, recycling is clean and mining is dirty. But sorry, I have to debunk that reality as well, because it's not the case in practice. If you look at the recycling of lithium-ion batteries, that is a dirty business. It is a very complex thing to recycle a lithium-ion battery with the graphite, with the electrodes, the electrolytes. You have, and Karel is well placed because he was been working on this for Belgium for many years on the PFAS problem, so the eternal chemical problem with fluorinated compounds. Lithium-ion batteries are full of fluorinated compounds. So if you do it wrongly, your recycling process of your batteries, you will either not destroy the existing PFAS in the system, or you will create new ones during your thermal treatment at 500 degrees to pre-process before your hydrometallurgical treatment. So just to say that the reality is that recycling can sometimes also be a very dirty business, and it's not necessarily cleaner than a mining process. So again, I'm not saying that we should not should not go for recycling process and not go for circular economy principles. It's a core part of our Kai Leuven work, actually. But I just want to debunk all these myths and all these simplistic beliefs often policymakers have in this very important field. Thank you very much.
Nicely done. Myths have been busted.